Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea Nadia Disty with student ID 2024329092 from class PBDC. In this video, I will explain my practicum report for the Big Data Processing course, which covers web scraping using two different methods, namely using a browser extension and using a Python program. I will also present the theory report in the form of a PowerPoint presentation at the end of this video. Okay, the first practicum is web scraping using the web scraper extension in the Chrome browser. The website I scrap is the timeshighereducation.com. World University rankings according to my PC number, which is PC 16. Okay, here I have created a sitemap name PC16 underscore THE. Inside this sitemap, there are 3 selectors that I create, which are ranked to retrieve the ranking data, university to retrieve the university name, and country to retrieve the country of origin. Next, I will run the scraping process by clicking sitemap, then selecting the scrape, and start scraping. After that, wait for the process. And once scraping is complete, that results can be exported into a CSV file contents World University and ranking data with 3 columns, namely rank, university, and country. Okay, the second practicum is web scraping using a Python program in Jupyter Notebook. The website I scrap is ketutup Teams. Jadi website I scrap is quotes.toscrap.com. Okay, let's move to the explanation of the program I create. Before running the scraping program, first I installed the required libraries, which are requests and beautiful soap, using the pip install command in the first cell. And the first line, import request library, which function to access and retrieve content from a website. And the second line, I import beautiful soap from the BS4 library, which function to read and parse the HTML structure of a web page. And the third line, I import the CSV library, which function to save the scraping results into a CSV file. Next, I define a variable called URL, which contains the address of the website to be scraped, which is quotes.toscrap.com. Then I use request get to send a request to the website and retrieve the page content. Then HTML content that has been retrieved is the process using Beautiful Soap with HTML.parser so that the structure can be read easily. And I create an empty list called data to store all the scraping results. In the for loop section, the program search for all div elements with the class code, which is the container for each code and the website. Inside the loop, the program retrieves 3 elements, which are tags for the quote content and author for the writer's name and tags for the quote category. all three are directly added into the data list. And after all the data is collected, the program creates a CSV file name pc_quotes_python.csv, then writes the column header, quote, author, and text, and followed by all the collect data. Finally, the program displays a message that the scraping has been complete along with the total amount of data successfully retrieved, which is 10 data. Okay, next, I will present the theory report for this practicum in the form of a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. The first question is, what is web scraping? Web scraping is the process of automatically retrieving data from a website using a program. The program reads the HTML structure of a web page and extract the specific data needed. The results are then saved in a structured format such as CSV for further processing, making it far more efficient than copying data manually. Okay, the second question asks about the three core libraries used for web scraping in Python. The first is request, which function to send request to a web server and retrieve the page content in HTML format. The second is beautiful soup, which function to parse and organize the retrieved HTML so that specific elements can be easily extracted. And the third is Scrappy, which is a complete framework designed for large-scale scraping and is capable of automatically navigating between multiple pages at once. The third question is about why data is important and why it must be processed. Raw data has just been collected cannot directly provide useful information because it is still unstructured. By processing data, we can discover patterns, make better decisions, and predict future trends. Without processing, data is nothing more than a collection of meaningless numbers and figures. The fourth question asks for my conclusion after completing two practicum. From the two practicum, I understand that there are two different approach to web scraping. The first is using a browser extension, which is easier since it requires no coding, but it is limited to static website. And the second is using Python, which is more flexible and powerful, especially for retrieving larger amounts of data. I also learned that not all websites can be scraped because some use dynamic JavaScript, which requires a different approach. The fifth question is about big data. Big data refers to a collection of data that is extremely large in size, varied in type, and continuously growing at a rapid pace, making it impossible to process using conventional methods. Big data is characterized by the concept of trivy. Data is enormous. Second is variety, which means the types are diverse, including text, numbers, and IMAS. Third is velocity, which means data keeps coming and updating very fast. In this course, web scraping is one of the techniques used to collect data from the internet, which then needs to be processed further using more advanced tools. Okay, the sixth and final question asks about tools for data collection. There are several tools commonly used for collecting data. First is Web Scraper extension, which is a browser-based tool for scraping website without coding. Second is Python with libraries such as Request, Beautiful Soup, and Scrappy. Third is Google Forms for collecting primary data through online questionnaires. Fourth is Kaggle, which is a platform providing ready-to-use dataset. Fifth is API, such as a Twitter API or Google Maps API for retrieving data from platforms officially. And sixth is Microsoft Excel for manual data recording and collection. Okay, to conclude this presentation, web scraping is an important technique for collecting data from the internet automatically. There are two main approach, which are using a browser extension and using Python. And data that has been collected must always be processed in order to produce useful and meaningful information. Big data requires special tools and techniques to be processed effectively, and web scraping is one of the first steps in the big data processing pipeline. Okay, that concludes my full practicum report on web scraping using both of extension and Python, along with the theory report presentation. From the two practicum, I understand that there are two ways to perform web scraping. The first is using extension, which is easier but limited to static website, and the second is using Python, which is more flexible and powerful, especially for retrieving large amounts of data. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.